Hazing in Greek life tends to be a reoccurring issue, even on BGSU's campus. And then my own definition of hazing, I would say that it is just someone that has already been initiated into that group or like that organization, taking their position of power and using it for bad, evil, and just kind of like using that position of power to make another person feel inferior and like just at any cost. The scholarly source for the Journal for American Studies, Seminole, defines hazing as the abuse of new or prospective group members. According to the hazingprevention.org, it means doing any act or coercing another, including the victim, to do any act of initiation into any student or other organization that causes a substantial risk of causing mental or physical harm to another. And then since 2005, more than 60 students have died in hazing-related incidents, with 5 of those students dying in 2013 alone. The scholar Parks talks about how states have been passing anti-hazing laws because parents of victims are getting involved. Parks also talks about how, as of 2015, 44 of the states have anti-hazing laws, with the minimum punishment being a misdemeanor. And then Utah and Indiana are examples of hazing as a felony when there is a fatal weapon or bodily harm.
Section A is that hazing means doing any act or coercing another, including the victim, to do any act of initiation into any student or other organization that causes or creates a substantial risk of causing mental or physical harm to any person. Section B of the code says that no person is to participate and that no administrative person, no employee, or any other type of faculty member, regardless of primary, secondary, or post-secondary school, is able to participate in the covering up of hazing. Section 3 is that whoever violates this section is guilty of hazing, which is considered a misdemeanor of the 4th degree. Now, this shows that there is some legislation within the Ohio Code about whether or not hazing is allowed, but it shows that there's a lot of weak spots, especially if you consider the fact that the code is underneath the homicide and assault section, while hazing itself is only considered a misdemeanor. On January 23rd of 2018, the staff at the Toledo Blade published the article, "Hazing Leads to Fraternity Suspension at Bowling Green State University," which detailed the suspension of Phi Kappa Psi due to a hazing incident last fall. There were accusations of hazing at the Dawn Dance, an off-campus party in September of 2017. This incident was the focus of the university's investigation into this chapter. The chapter was found responsible not only of hazing its new members, but also for interfering with the investigation. Members were sent messages that said things along the lines of, "Deny everything," and "I'm telling you guys because I like you guys. No one rat on each other, and the booze will be free for like 3 weeks." They were given an interim suspension on October 24th, with the final suspension given in December and upheld even after the chapter appealed. The chapter can apply for reinstatement for the fall of 2020. However, the national organization can apply for reinstatement in January 2019 to bring the chapter back for the fall of 2019. BGSU, according to policy, does not allow any type of hazing and works to prevent hazing incidents on campus. The hazing prevention and education part of the Rights and Responsibilities section of Resources from the Dean of Students details the commitment BGSU has to opposing and punishing acts that embarrass, harass, ridicules, or creates mental and or physical discomfort to students regardless of background. A new event to talk about hazing in Greek life by Morgan Lovett in the BG Falcon Media talks about one way BGSU has attempted to combat hazing. The event was to create an open dialogue for students to talk about how to prevent hazing. The assistant dean, what can be done to solve the problem of hazing? And that points to a larger question. Is hazing something that can even be solved?
Hey. Okay, so what do you think could be the answer to potentially stopping hazing altogether?
So, I know we've talked about, and, you hear about it all the time in, the news about how they have these prevention programs and blah, blah, blah. We all know they don't work.
Yeah.
That's just the thing. If they worked, we wouldn't have hazing anymore.
Yeah. I think the thing is, the big problem, and we've, talked about it already, but, we know that there are things that are in place, like at a higher level, like the organizations, like the top, right? They already made those rules where you cannot haze. It's not, and your chapter will be like
disbanded.
But people are still gonna haze because there's this like secretive thing where like you know that if you're being hazed, you can't say anything. If you know someone is being hazed, you can't say anything. So like, what could we really do? Like, there's the laws in place where like, you know, but so like,
I feel like that leads into like that last question that I kind of asked, where it was like, is there even a way to stop hazing? Because like you brought up a point, and like when you are talking about hazing and exposing it and creating policies, it relies on someone to whistleblow on their own group. And the thing is, that just rarely happens.
Yeah.
People don't want to do that. There's so many reasons why people like won't talk about what happened to them, whether it's shame, whether it's loyalty, whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's so many reasons that it's so hard to get people to talk about it. And especially with hazing, when it's like, it's in college typically, with like Greek life. And a lot of that's done in that transition from like living at home, going to high school, and being on your own for your first time, that it becomes like this stable group. So like the fact that we're even asking people to kind of like rethink how they choose to view their basically found family, and to turn on them for something, and especially because like hazing has many scales. Like there's the hazing where it's like forcing someone to drink or making them do something like stupid, like that's still bad. But then there's the ones that lead to death, whether it's from over drinking or if it's from abuse, whatever it is. There's like a scale of it, and it's almost, I feel like part of the reason the policy doesn't work also is because we don't have those layers to it. We don't say like, while it's all bad, this is definitely worse than that. We have one single thing, which is a misdemeanor for all of it. And the thing is like, it shouldn't be like that.
But like putting in place programs that show how like severe this can be, like people die from this, and like putting that before people's face like constantly, like your friend that you're trying to protect, and protect their feelings and like be loyal to, like your friend could potentially die from what you're not speaking up about. Raising that the penalty, like a misdemeanor, like okay, that's a tap.
See, exactly, like that's nothing.
So to say that okay, this will be a federal offense and you're gonna go to prison, you're gonna go to jail, I mean, because it's someone's life, you know what I'm saying? Like I think that if we like could somehow push for that to be raised, I think that would probably put a little bit more fear in at least some people.
Like I feel like having like a higher body that governs the whole U.S. kind of saying like hazing is not okay and this is becoming part of our federal law speaks way more than just being like, oh yeah, the Ohio code says blah blah blah.
And then also like to tie it back to just kind of what we've talked in like our actual like communications, the media class, you know, like talking about just how you can't actually see what's going on and like how that relates to like the news and how they can tell you something and like that be totally not what's happening. And then in Greek life, like they can say like this is a no hazing organization whole time, like behind the scenes we know that's happening. So maybe it's not like we can come up with like a concrete thing, and that's probably why it hasn't been done yet.
I feel like hazing just in general going to have to be an entire shift in like the minds of everyone, and the thing is like the likelihood of that is just very low. And so I feel like the best course of action is to just like try to just speak more about it. Not even like in a whistleblower expose kind of sense, but just like talking about it.
I agree.
Because that tends to just change people's perceptions, especially if you start talking about it young. Because we really do only talk about hazing in college. But if you introduce those concepts when someone's young, or just starting to think about what they're going to do in college and stuff like that, if you tell them like it's okay to do this kind of stuff, but you have to remember, like, don't let someone take advantage of you like this. Don't let someone make you feel like you're worthless and then make you feel like you have to be part of them because of that. Like, teaching people to, like, have more, like, have more of an ability to, like, like, to do that. Like, I feel like that will be what ends up being able to kind of soften hazing at the very least, is just creating more of a humane view for yourself and others. from a young age.
I agree.